Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Books and Beauty. If you watched my last video, I mentioned having a review of my very first travel assignment. And so I had a lot of technical difficulties. I recorded this video several times and it just was not happening. So I said, let me try one more time to try to get this first review out. So I'll just dive right into it. Okay, so let's start with housing because housing was a nightmare. I know I mentioned that in the last video. Because where I messed up, like in the last video when I said check housing before you accept an assignment, I did not do that. Well, I tried to check, but like not really. So I really didn't find any good affordable places. So my first week there, I stayed at a Hilton hotel not too far from the hospital. The hotel was very decent, but there was a $100 incidental fee per night, which I did not have. I stayed there for 6 nights, so that was $600 I did not have. I had to borrow that money from my mom just so I could stay there for that week. And so, like, I ended up staying there for 1 week. The place was really nice. It was clean. Then after that, I ended up going to an Airbnb in Union City. It was a decent studio apartment and a walk up. The area was really nice. It was pretty noisy. I mean, it was a really busy area. There were a lot of businesses and everything over there, but I really did like the atmosphere. So like I would have actually tried to stay there throughout the duration of my assignment, but it was an Airbnb, so it was already booked up and everything. So after I left there, I ended up going to a hotel in Rochelle Park. It was a Wyndham hotel. So, I mean, it was, I don't know if I mentioned that in the last video, but like, this hotel could have done with some upgrades. I mean, it was one of those hotels you could tell people used to smoke in because it still smelled like cigarettes. So like when I got in my room, like I Lysol, bleached, Febreze, everything so that my room would smell decent whenever I would come back. It had a microwave, refrigerator, TV, the bathroom was decent. It was a really big room. So I mean, like, it was fine. I was there for like maybe 3 weeks. And one of the only issues that I had was that there was a sex worker next door to me. And her sex would be extremely loud to the point where sometimes I would actually have to bang on the wall because it would be really late. And I'm like, I have to sleep. So then, about a week before I left the Wyndham Hotel, another traveler ended up starting at the hospital, and she had previously worked there before, and she was staying at the same place she had stayed in before. It was shared housing. So shared housing, it was this landlord just renting out all of the rooms in their house that they owned. They didn't actually stay there though, because they were living in Pennsylvania. So this house was back over in Union City. So I was already comfortable with the area and everything. So the worker, we're gonna call her, if you are a Harry Potter fan, we're gonna refer to her as Professor Umbridge, and I'll explain why later. But she approached me and was like, hey, you're a traveler too, who are you with? We found out we were with the same agency. And then she asked where I was staying, and I told her, and she was like, well, if you want to be, in a more comfortable place and pay less money, there's an extra room at the place that I'm staying. And so she gave me the landlord's info, and I reached out, and the price was too good to pass up. So, I was like, sure, why not? And then also Umbridge was like, we could, carpool, because I wasn't driving when I was in Jersey, and she actually drove to her assignment, so she had her car with her. So that was the beginning of the downfall. Just a quick side note, I was watching the first season of the originals while I was recording, so I'm a little bit extra. Like, that was my first time watching that season, so yeah. Anyways, I got everything situated with the landlord in the shared housing. So after my last week at the Wyndham Hotel, I moved in. Now, overall, the house was very decent. There were 4 bedrooms and a full bath on the upper level. There was a half bath on the main level. And then there was another like bedroom and full bath down in the basement. So there was a guy already living in the basement. And then Professor Umbridge and her teenage son had 2 of the bedrooms upstairs. And then I took one of the bedrooms upstairs. And not too long after I arrived, we had another guy come take the last bedroom. So it was a really, really full house. Also, Umbridge had a dog with her. And the dog was probably my favorite person in the house. Pretty much. So, like I said, everything was fine at first. Everybody was quiet and, kept to themselves and clean for the most part, like in the beginning. And then, I don't know, like it slowly just started changing. So because me and Umbridge worked majority of like the same shift and same days, we would carpool. But she was just too much. She was extremely just too much and overwhelming. She was one of those people that wanted to talk all the time. She was one of those people that didn't know that it was okay to be silent sometimes. And it's nothing wrong with wanting to talk all the time. It's just have something of substance to talk about. And she didn't, which was crazy because, she's been in the army. She's traveled overseas and everything before. She went to cosmetology school, but she really didn't have a lot to talk about. It was only 3 things that she really liked to talk about 24/7. And it was just like on constant repeat. And she complained a lot too. And I don't like that type of negativity in my life. So like I used to try and tune it out because I'm like, I thought she was nice, I was just like, let me just chill out, try to tune her out sometimes, whatever. But then she started invading my space. She was nosy. Like if I came down into the kitchen and I was on the phone, she's trying to like have conversations with me when she would see I'm on the phone. Then she's like eavesdropping and being nosy. She's constantly asking me where I'm going for my next assignment and then suggesting maybe we could, travel together. And that's not bad because other travelers travel together, but that's not my thing. I'm like, you got a whole son and a dog, and no. I'm like, I'm already pushing my limits being in a house with other people that I don't know that well. And honestly, I don't even like people that much. So I was already, pushing my limits. But like, the housing situation just kept getting worse and worse. She would come knock on my door while I'm asleep or, trying to talk to me as soon as I get in. And we would get in like pretty late sometimes. And she would try to talk to me and I'm just like, girl, I cannot do this. So one day I just abruptly stopped talking to her. And then also she had came and like wanted to address something that I had posted on Facebook. And I'm like, you're older than me. Like, you're almost 40 and you're trying to come to me about something on Facebook. I'm like, that was when I cut that off. I'm like, I'm done. And of course, she took it hard. She was talking about it to other coworkers, and I'm like, that's none of their business. Because, I wasn't really talking to anybody at work anyways, probably except for like a couple people, but like, yeah. And then there was an instance where she allegedly stole money from someone. It was just a lot. And then next thing I know, like, there was a mouse seen in the house. There was a roach seen and killed in the house. And I'm just like, I'm ready to go. People were not cleaning up after themselves. There was an ant problem in the kitchen. Someone had left a burner on a couple of times. I came in one day after work. It was 90 degrees outside. Someone had left the oven on. It was just madness. I will never do shared housing again, ever again in life. So yeah, that was the housing situation. But the actual hospital, I was in Hackensack, and the hospital had over 700 beds. So I was not really prepared. So the original posting for the position said nothing of IV compounding. It was mostly omnicell deliveries of restocking and patient-specific meds. But this was a really big hospital. Like, I used to average between 13 and 15,000 steps per shift. Just to give you an idea, that's how much I used to walk. It would be like your cart would just be stacked and overflowing, and they used to want you to make hourly deliveries. Now, there would be some good days to where you wouldn't have that much, and then there would be days where you would have to ask for help to have someone help you with your deliveries, because it would just be entirely too much, especially if you wanted to leave on time. For the most part, everyone was pretty welcoming, but it was a lot of attitude. Like, it was a lot of drama there. Nothing I was ever involved in, but like, I used to listen to so much gossip. Like, I was never involved because that ain't my business. I don't know y'all like that. I'm only here for, 3-4 months. But they had a lot of drama going on. I used to get irritated too. Some of the pharmacists were really rude or unhelpful. Some of the other techs used to be rude and unhelpful, but majority of them were actually really nice and cool. So, but I get along with everybody, so that I wasn't the problem. And then also an issue that I had, my recruiter forgot to put in my contract there were days that I needed off. So I ended up telling 3 different managers at 3 different times that I needed those dates off. One of the managers confirmed they would give me those days off. Another manager told me that he took me off of those days because they had scheduled me anyway. And then as soon as I landed in LA, they ended up calling me like, hey, you're supposed to work today. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Good luck with that, but I'm not supposed to be there. So yeah, that was an issue that I did not like. Also, they kept thinking that I was supposed to be there for 6 months. And I'm like, absolutely not. My contract says, I'm only here until the end of the first week of August. And so they kept trying to convince me to extend. And I'm like, I really do not want to be in Jersey for 6 months. I want to go to other places. That's just not in my plans to be here for that long. I extended for 3 more weeks and then I left. I'm like, there's absolutely no way I'm staying here for 3 more months. Not in that house, not with umbrage. I was like, I can't do it. I'm not staying. But then also, like, I was just so stressed there. And my purpose of traveling was to be happy doing what I love. I love being a tech, but I'm not trying to be overwhelmed and stressed because this is not my permanent place of employment. Y'all are not about to stress me out. So that was the whole thing. But yeah, I honestly, I couldn't wait to leave. But like overall, it was a really nice area. I didn't get to do as much there as I would have liked because I was by myself. I did hang out with, a couple of my coworkers, and that was fine. I went to Manhattan like twice, and then, like I said, I took a short vacay to LA. So, I mean, overall, if I had to rate the whole assignment, it would get a 2.5. And I honestly feel like the half is kind of generous. But yeah, I would not go back. I'm straight. I'm good. Like I said in the last video, I'm in Florida right now. I'll do a review after I finish up here. I literally only have like 2 weeks left and then I'll be gone. But yeah, again, thanks for watching this video and the last one. I had a lot of questions on the last one. If you guys still have any other questions regarding, traveling, go ahead and leave those questions below. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll still be here doing the books and beauty thing.